But we've been walking a lot. I mean, I want to say we've been here, what, 2 hours?
It's almost 1 o'clock, so
Yeah.
2.5, 3 hours.
No, not that long.
We got here at like 10:30.
Yeah, so 2.5, not 3.
Okay.
Anyway.
2.5 is almost 3. You heard it first here, kids.
Okay. And that guy was just looking at us funny. Hello. And we're here, another day in Turkey. So we are starting at a palace, Topkapi Palace. And we're in this courtyard right now. And we've got our audio guides and we're gonna go see some stuff.
This was a good decision. Hey folks, remember to always bring a wired set of earphones with you, because otherwise you'll look like an adult with this audio guide up to your head like this the whole time.
See, I've been doing this for years. I always keep my wired headset on the plane, but then in my purse the whole trip, so that whenever you get audio guides, because even though they like sanitize them, anytime they give you headphones, it grosses me out, so I want to use my own. And sometimes they don't give you headphones, and then I have my own. And see, this is why sometimes I am the superior travel, because it didn't even cross his mind.
No.
But there's your pro tip.
Pro tip of the day.
All right, see you inside. We've been walking around a bit, but a lot of the indoor places don't let you take pictures or videos. Everyone else was taking pictures, but Robert had a good idea that he thinks it was for line control, because it was all long lines to get in, and they're really trying to...
everyone was shouting at people to keep the line moving.
Right, exactly. They're really trying to keep it moving. But I still followed the rules and didn't record. But it was really beautiful inside, all the places, lots of tile work, mosaic work, stained glass, paintings, what else?
Bling bling jewelry.
Oh yeah, we saw a lot of
Bling bling.
yeah, like diamond encrusted everything. We saw a lot of calligraphy, which was really beautiful. All right, so we just finished up inside the harem. We're back inside this first courtyard. And final thoughts as right before we depart.
This place is large.
Yeah, so one of our friends was here last week and he was giving us some tips, whatever, from his week here. And one of the things he said, he's like, oh, when you go to, and I can't say the name right, say it.
Topkapi.
Topkapi Palace, it takes longer than you think it will. I'm like, okay. So in my head, I'm thinking like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. What were you thinking, Robert?
Yeah, like 2.5. 2.5 is 3 hours.
Robert's rounding is chaotic. Yeah, what's our time check?
We are here, we've been here for 5 hours.
And I want to tell you, we haven't lingered anywhere.
I don't know if we've sat down.
We haven't read every single thing there is to read. There were some places that we were really like booking it through, like especially some of the artifact rooms where they really wanted people to move quickly. Like I didn't look at every single thing. I didn't linger. Some of the things I didn't even get close to the case. I was looking over people. Like I don't think that we could have gone that much faster. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, you could
We
always
could have
skip
skipped
stuff.
things.
You can always-
Right,
yeah.
right. We could have skipped things. But in terms of like, it's not like we were slow,
Yeah.
luxuriating through everything.
But if you want to lay eyes on everything that this place has to offer,
Yeah. And we're actually
say,
about to
yeah.
look for a map to make sure that we didn't miss anything in this first courtyard because
you have the budget. 4.5, 5 hours.
it's crazy. But it's beautiful here and really cool. You know, it does remind me a little bit like, you know, some people when they go to Versailles, they plan to spend like a full day at Versailles.
Yeah, same
This
thing.
is the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so much to see and do and learn. So definitely would recommend, but would recommend giving yourself time. Hello, hello. So here we are in front of the Süleymaniye Mosque. You can see it behind us. And actually in front of us is a great view of the water in the city. So I'll show you that. Everyone's posing and taking pictures. But we were inside just a bit ago. And it's interesting because this mosque was also built by a sultan, like the Blue Mosque we went to yesterday, but it is very different. I feel like where the Blue Mosque was all opulence and like very showy, this one is understated and very
yeah.
simplistic. I mean, still beautiful.
Chelsea doesn't like minimalism, so
I never said that. It is so beautiful. It is interesting how different they are for both being made for sultans. That's all I meant. But I did really enjoy it, seeing on the inside. And they had a lot of volunteers walking around that were talking to the tourists about Islam and they are doing a dinner tonight where you can learn more about Islam and watch them pray, things like that. It was interesting. I feel like I learned a lot. I mean, she was saying basic broad strokes concepts about Islam and mosques, but it's things that I wouldn't have known. So it was still really interesting, and it was nice of them to have people there. I feel like this was an interesting mix where there are not as many tourists here as were yesterday at the two mosques we went to, Hagia Sophia and Blue Mosque, which makes sense. This is not the huge big name one, but there are tourists, and it seems like less like, oh, this is a tourist destination that people want to see, and more like, oh, we're going to take advantage of tourists being here, if that makes sense. Would you agree with that, Robert?
I mean, yes. I don't know. It was much more of they had a tourist experience.
Right.
They definitely thought about that. Similar to the other mosques. But definitely, yeah, a lot fewer tourists here, a lot.
So it's more like a one-on-one tourist interaction,
Yes.
as opposed to we're going to move people through this and make it easy for tourists to come and see.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Well, I think we're going to walk and maybe go to another mosque.
Yep.
And I forgot to mention, we also had lunch earlier. Lunner, really, because it was
Dinner.
3:30
Really,
p.m.
yeah.
I had this stuffed chicken dish, and Robert got another kebab. It was
good.
yum. And they gave us baklava again.
Yes,
I think
more
I liked yesterday's baklava better.
And listen, free baklava.
I liked
I'm not
both.
gonna
Don't get me
complain.
wrong. All right, we're back at the hotel, but we've gotten up to some more stuff since we left you. So we went to another mosque. We went to the Rusta Pasha Mosque.
Yep, it was smack dab in the center of all the shops and such.
Yeah, Robert started taking me up this almost hidden stone staircase. I was like, oh, what? Where are we going? Me thinking it's...
I'm not that special. It was labeled. It said Rustam Pasha Mosque on it.
Yes. But even so, I was a little confused. And then we got there and it was kind of up on the second story, and you could barely hear... I don't even think I really did hear any of the hubbub down below.
I think it's all the marble walls and such.
The insulation, the
Maybe.
acoustics, great. But it was nice. It was smaller, less... I don't know. Actually, no. It was pretty...
It was well decorated.
Yeah,
It was just
yeah.
not as huge as everything else
Right,
we've seen so
right.
far.
Yes. So that was good. That was nice. And then we walked to Galata Tower and went up that to see views of the city, which was nice.
Pro tip, buy your ticket from the ticket office behind the tower before you get in the really long line. Because then you'll get to the front of the line
They'll ask you for your ticket.
and they'll ask you for your ticket. You're like, oops.
Luckily, then we waited in a medium long line for tickets. And so then when we got back in line to the entrance line, there was no line really. So that helped. And there was a nice woman who was she was waiting, someone else was getting her tickets and she was just like holding their place in the entrance line, and she was saying to us like, do you have your ticket? We were like, yeah. She's like, oh good. And I was like, this is what we needed last time. Someone a little earlier in the line to be like, you good? Don't make our mistake.
Nope.
So,
but we went up, it was sunset, there were really great views.
We saw someone get proposed to.
Yes,
they said yes.
They said yes.
It was great.
That would have been really awkward because they said no.
It was being filmed and everything. It was funny because at first they were not speaking English. I don't know what they were speaking, I couldn't understand. But the couple was taking a picture together and someone must have been their friend taking for them. And then I didn't know what they said, but all of a sudden it was just him and I was like, that's awkward. Like how many times do you see just a man being like, oh yeah, here, let me get my picture alone. And so I didn't know what was happening. And then all of a sudden he like gets down on one knee and I realize, and he's like saying stuff and then he gets down on one knee and I realized that the third woman is actually recording a video and I was like, oh, he's proposing. It was really cute. So it was good for them. Hopefully they have a nice, happy life together. And we almost lost each other, but...
We almost did. I freaked out and then...
I also freaked out. Independently in separate locations, we were freaking out about not knowing
Chelsea
where the
was
other
stuck up in the tower. I was at the bottom.
Rapunzel,
exactly.
Yeah, because my phone, I don't have data here, unfortunately, so I couldn't just like text him and be like, hey, where are you?
Don't get a locked phone, folks.
Yeah, pro tip.
Pro tip number 2.
Buy unlocked phones. This is my first locked phone in years. I'm sure anyone can understand. I won't go into it. Anyway, never again. So yeah, and then we just started walking, caught a bus back. Robert got some pastry, and now we're back in the hotel.
Without any water.
Yeah, apparently the whole area has no water. So no, that's not true.
No running
water. So throwback to our, what do they call it in Alaska? The
bus?
Yeah, but what did they refer to places that didn't have running water? They weren't dry, but they were a dry cabin. Right? Yeah. So throwback to the dry cabin stage of Alaska.
A dry apartment.
Same thing. But we have tons of jugs of water.
Yes, our hosts were very nice and thought about this in advance because apparently this is not an uncommon occurrence.
So there you go. They were better at getting the fresh water out and about in the Roman era, maybe.
Maybe.
All right. So we'll see you tomorrow. Probably in a new vlog. I'm not sure, but we'll see you tomorrow.
That's my decision to make.
Bye.
Bye.